tonight, again, we finished authenticity, and if you wasn't here on in our family training hour, like there was, again, sometimes a lot of these Bible studies spring from just regular open discussion, and I think I like how organic that is, where it's just the church venting, and it's the I guess the honesty in the moment of there's so much things that we might be going through, but then sometimes because of the setting that you can't really get to discuss everything you want during a preaching setting. So the evening and the Sunday afternoon family training hour, which I see is going to come to a family inventing hour. It seems like it's turned to that, or family counseling hour. And then Tuesday nights also supplements for that as well. What you realize is that there's a lot of things we have in our hearts that are on our heads, in our head, that we wrestle with and we don't release. We just carry it with us, right? And the gospel or church has not become a place where we can just let it all out. And I'm hoping that we can create environments where that is healthy. I believe this is the best place to do it, because not only can you reveal, but you also at the same time provide that healing that it needs, right? It's the same way where if our bodies is sick and the white blood cells immediately go and attack the infection, and at the same time it's already developing a healing for it. I believe the church should be functioning at the same way, where we hurt, that we should be in that position where we are attacking that infection or where it is, to try to provide a healing that our sister or brother need, because we are going to be in that place at one point. You know, it's not, none of us exempt of being hurt. None of us exempt of feeling tired. None of us are exempt. I don't care how holy you are. You're going to be hurt. And you're going to need somebody. You are. All right. So Sunday night, there was a level of, the key word that I kept hearing was frustration. Frustration. And part of frustration that we are here, it has a lot to do with expectation, right? Most of your frustration is linked to expectation. You was expecting this, it didn't happen, thus I'm frustrated, right? I was expecting you to do X, you did Y, and I'm frustrated. There is a level of, I thought you would be like this. I was expecting you to be this way. You gave me this way, and they don't meet. I'm left frustrated, right? All of us deal with disappointments where I was hoping for this, but I didn't get that, so I'm a little disappointed. But frustration, where expectation is a little bit more heavier demand. Like if I say, I'm expecting you, O'Shell, to do this, that's expectation. I'm wishing is different. So I could be a little bit disappointed because I was hoping for this, but I got this. But if I'm expecting, that's a greater demand, right? And I think the closer we get to people and the more like love is involved and trust and relationship, then it moves from wish to like, listen, I'm expecting you because of who you are to do this. Y'all with me so far? Yeah. Right. Now, part of that, we started discussing the expectation when it hurts so much, especially when it's dealing with the people that are our brothers and sisters. And so church hurt. Ain't nothing like church hurt. We all know that, right? But tonight, what I left with, and what I really wanted to, go ahead, take your front of the class. You are front of the class. Like you are definitely, like you went to school.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. There's two types of students. The students know there's the students that when they come in, they go straight into class, and there's another one that when they come in, they sneak in the back and they be like, boop by the door.
I've been here a long time.
I boop by the door, so you know as soon as it, you know what kind of I was. Who want to take a guess what kind of student? The latter. I was by the door. As soon as that, like the professor was like, class is in, I was whoop, gone. Or late. Until you get a little bit older and you be like, man, I'm paying for this. Let me come a little bit early. All right. So what was I? Now I left with talking about people hurting us, right? And how our enemies hurt us and how we get them to stop, right? How do we stop people from hurting us? And as much as we talked about it, I couldn't figure out how. But I could figure out the only thing, since I can't get them to stop, I can encourage us how to stand. That since I have no way to controlling people from stopping, but I can control the way that I stand. Does that make sense? I can't get people to stop hurting people's feelings. That's out of my control. What's in my control is how I build myself up, how to stand. Right? And so tonight, that's what I want to talk about. If you turn your Bibles with me to Ephesians 6, verse 13, I want to talk about, have we done all we can to stand? Oh, it was, okay. You seen that from right there? Wow. All right. Have we done all we can to stand? All right. Ephesians in our I'll let me just get this up on my computer. 6, just 6, because right now, normally in these Bible studies I try to do series, but it seems like as though I'm going to do these little pop-up ones, one-offs. It's a little bit more work, but I mean, normally we do the series. See, Authenticity was a series where we did months and months, but it seems as right now we're going to do a little, whatever the mood is saying, or what the Spirit is saying. Because not only do you try to develop Bible studies to where you want to go, but you also want to develop one where you are, right? And so I think we're in that, who's hurting, right? Anyone that's for those that are hurting, okay? Ephesians 6, verse 13. Wherefore you take, well, we can start off at 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, or therefore, okay, as in, consequently, or because of what you're going through in verse 12, therefore, this is what you have to do, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. And having done all to stand. Have you done all to stand? Right? Okay. So tonight, that's what we want to do. Have you done all? Am I doing everything? Basically, that's what I'm saying. Are you doing everything to stand? Right? All right. So first of all, let's just say the tougher you heard the tougher the lesson, the greater the blessing. Right? You heard things something like that. But I know for a fact that the fight, the severity of the fight, right, or the prize will always determine the level of fight. Mm-hmm. Right? whatever is on the other end, right? Whatever you're going to be, the fight that you have to go through to get that, it increases level by level by level, okay? And so that's important. In your mind, you have to remember, and we did Ephesians before, that we are constantly in some form of battle. You're always fighting. In your teenage years, you're in a fight. In your middle-aged years, you are fighting. In your senior years, you're fighting. You're fighting at your job. And that not always punches people in the face. Please take that out of your mind, of not fighting, punching people in your face. But I'm saying a level of fight in your position, at work, for promotion. You're fighting if you are sick, health-wise. You're fighting expectations, family. You're fighting in your relationships. Right? And not necessarily fighting, but I mean fighting to keep it together. Right? You're fighting expectations of yourself. Like you think you should be this, you're fighting that. You're fighting depression. You're fighting low self-esteem. So you're always in some form of fight. Now, some of the worst fights, you know what some of the worst fights? Some of the worst fights is fighting enemies you don't see. Because those enemies, especially when it's eternal, that it's hard to turn off the voice in your head. It's absolutely hard to turn off that voice. Anybody ever fought yourself? You have not lived until you fight yourself. You have not. Or you must be dead. Fighting yourself for making decisions that you shouldn't make. Right? Especially when yourself is telling you that's bad and you said, but I want it. Or you had it and yourself said you should leave that alone, but everything in you are convincing yourself not to go back. Oh, I'm just talking my business. I'm talking my business. Most of growing up and becoming who I became is that fight to not return to what I used to be. Not trust the same people that I used to trust. Because it got me in the same place week after week. And then when you did it, you look at yourself and you said, didn't I tell you? Right? You never had that conversation with yourself? It was like, I thought we weren't coming back here, Stephen. I thought this was the last week. You promised me. How about fighting yourself even before you go? You know what's going to happen. Oh, I got some stories. I got some stories about fighting yourself before you know the end result, and yet you still go anyway. And you know, you tell yourself before you go, because you're preparing yourself for the conversation that you're going to have afterwards. Like I used to have conversations afterwards, like before, and say, you know how you're going to feel. You know what you're going to say to yourself. Why are you doing this? You still go through with it, and then you say, didn't we have this conversation before? Didn't we? There was many times. I don't use one because let's do transparency. There was times when we will leave. It's my overseers looking at me. There was many times we will leave because, you know, at this age, we will leave church Friday night and have exclusive passes to clubs to go partying. Friday night, Saturday night, right? And then come back early. Is that me? Come back early Sunday morning at before 4 or 5, and then because the expectation is, oh, you're gonna play the drums, right? And go through that week after week, and yourself tell you, you know you shouldn't. But yet the pull of, man, I'm going to do this because, I mean, what's going on? I can, you know, who's going to know? I'm young. I get away with it. But even though you're getting away with it, you're still beating yourself up inside. This is how I know, like sometimes when we are in positions where we're able to get that out of our system, you don't have to beat somebody up. When you become this age, they're already beating themselves up enough. And the last thing we need is church people sometimes to beat them up, because trust me, they're beating themselves up already. You're not doing it in the sense where you're tolerating what they do. You're not stamping your approval, but you're making sure you're there to know, I know what you're going through. Right? That's the war they have to fight for themselves. And everybody has that battle that you can't talk them through. They got to learn how to fight for themselves. I don't care how much experience you try to give it. Now, that's what the mentoring is, part of it, because I don't want you to make the mistakes that I did. But ultimately, they have to learn how to fight on their own. And you, as whoever's elder statesmen, have to allow them to fight, to learn to fight, because sometimes the only way you learn is through experience. Right? Not only do you learn through lessons that do your books, but you also learn through experience. Comes with maturity. Because now I can read about the Bible that I read off a 2D. I could read about this, but then I have to experience God also. And life teaches me about God. I can read it too. They're going to learn, all these colleges. You'll learn about life in the classroom, but nothing learning about life in life. Experience. All right. So we all are in a fight. Right now, I don't know what y'all, whatever y'all going through, each person have an individual fight they are going through. All right. So let's look at let's look at it. James 1 verse 12. Right? James 1 verse 12. Just look at James 1 verse 12. So tonight, obviously, I'm going to be talking about perseverance. Okay, that's what I'm going to. A lot of your wins are not. It's going to be ones where it's based on your perseverance. That you're going to get beat up along the way, but you got to hold on. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. That you're going to have the strength to endure it. Right? Because there is no ultimately snap your fingers and I'm out. There's absolutely none. Okay? Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive a crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Let's break that down. Okay. Highly favored is the person that's able to resist, defy, and endure this examination. What you are going through is an examination. An examination it's going to prove you or produce. Does that make sense? Life is examinations, trials, that is either going to do two things. It's going to produce fruit or prove that you have it. This trial that I'm in is going to produce peace, or it's going to prove that I have it. Does that make sense? Everything I go through it's either going to produce or prove. All trials are producing and proving. Put that in your notes. Producing and proving. If you don't have it, it's going to produce it. If you do have it, it's going to test you if you do. You say you don't have peace, you're going to go through a trial where you get peace. And when you get peace, you're going to go through a trial to prove that you have it. Amen. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, okay, you in class, you learn about 2 plus 2 is 4. You learn the whole basics of math, 2 plus 2. If you didn't know it, it produced that, oh, now I know. And guess what your teacher's going to do at the end of the week? She's going to test you to prove that you know it. Yes. So some tests that you get, it's not for production, it's to see if you have actual evidence. Do you have the peace you say you have? And if you say yes, expect a test to prove it. Do you have joy? This is going to produce it. If you don't, expect a test to prove that you have it. All in life is either producing or proving. Now, I know you don't examine your tests. When you're going through tests of life, sometimes we don't note. Here's what I need you to do. Pay attention to the tests that you go through. Start paying attention to it. The same way, I don't know why I keep going back to this college classroom setting, but the same way your teacher puts down by this particular date, you should know this, because your test is coming for this. Life is the same way. The only thing is, you don't know the date the test is coming. So your preparation has to be 24/7. Because sometimes you get a pop quiz, a pop test that slaps you right in the face, and you be like, what? Mm-hmm. I was not expecting this, and you fail. Somebody cut you off. Oh, you be all week you've been like singing about peace. Ooh, God is my peace and joy. Somebody cut you off, and next you know, you're giving them the finger pointing to heaven. And that's it, letting you know the same joy you sang about, you said you have, now life just try to prove it, and you failed. The same love that you say, I got love, and then somebody gonna do something to try to get you to hate. To prove, do you have the love that you said that you shout on Sunday? Okay, here come a test of hate. Let me test your love. And we fell. Oh, you got joy? All right, let somebody come around, do something you don't like, and watch they just snatch it. Oh, this joy, the joy that I have, the world can't give it. And the world, here come IRS. Here come IRS. Here come the bill collector. Oh my God. Somebody called me today. I knew I shouldn't have picked up the phone. They just stole my joy. Really? But you just said you. Test of life. Produced it or proven it. Now that on that end, that was proving it. But also the test of life is trying to produce joy. It's trying to produce faith. Because life is filled with a whole bunch of fragilities and failures, and it wants you to constantly put your trust in God. Why people fail? People fail all around you to let you know God is the only person you can really trust. That he'll make loved ones fail. To let you know, listen, I can't because sometimes we put too much confidence in people. our expectations is so high, right? They let you down and you realize, man, I put too much stock over here. And then now you know, okay, through this, man, I got to really take some of this out. And that's why we did say that we have to adjust our boundaries too. Sunday, we did talk about adjusting your boundaries. I think with each time, you do need to adjust your boundaries with people. Right? And that as life, you don't mark the same boundaries. It changes as I go. Like, okay, all right, let me cut some back a little bit. Now it's bad because each time you lower your expectation, and I think that's a good thing. I want to lower my expectation so I can exceed my expectation in God. Any pedestal you put anybody on, prepare yourself. Right? Now, I'm not saying let people off the hook. I'm not setting people off the hook. There is a standard that I expect. Like, okay, there's a standard you expect. Right? All right. So it is. The blessed is the person that's able to resist, defy, and endure the examination, or produce, or proving that, right? It's going to prove that you have this characteristics. When he has become, he will receive. Having stood the test, that right there, that little part of it, having stood the test, that means having become, to be. That's what it means. When I go through the test, when I go through examination, I become. Now, let's look at what that become means. All right? Turn your Bibles with me to Genesis 2, verse 7. Now, all last Bible studies, we've been talking about, my brothers, we have not yet, it does not appear what we shall be, but we know we should be like him, for we should see him as he is. Every test and trial is shaping you who you're going to be. Okay? All right? Okay. Genesis 2, verse 7. What does it say?
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils, and breathed out breath of life, and man became a living.
See, that became.
A living soul.
That's right. So that word became, right there, God formed, he breathed, and man became.
A living.
Everything your testing is doing, your trials are doing, is pushing you to become. All of it is working for you to become who God created you to be. Does that make sense? That's what it's saying. Blessed. So if we read it again, blessed is the person who stands under the trials of who perseveres under the trial, under the examination, right? Having become the person. When you become the person, you will receive the crown. Remember what I said. You become, you receive the prize. So what your enemies want you to do? Not become, so you can't receive.
So you will fail.
And the more you fail, you don't become who God wants. The goal is to stop you from becoming who God created you to be. He don't want your money. All right? That's the ultimate goal is for you to not get the prize or you to become who God wants. Not your money, not your bus pass. He wants you to not become. Your soul, absolutely your soul, but soul, I'm thinking later down in life. But I'm talking about right now in life. If I can get you not to become, then automatically that will determine where your soul goes.
Amen. Amen.
I want to stop it early.
Oh my God. And sometimes I talk from childhood.
I'm trying to do it from why did he attack in the beginning? I'm trying to stop it from early, because if I can change the trajectory now, it guarantees maybe later you won't go back on course.
Yes. Oh my God.
Right? And sometimes it's not so much a big shift. You know, if I'm trying to fire at a target, all you got to do is, you know, the wind turn just a little bit. Right? If anybody studied those snipers, the snipers wait for the wind to be right. They check the weather because they'll miss targets because it carried off target. And so if I can get you away from where God destined you, you become a different person.
And it is sometimes it seems so normal what is happening at the time. You don't take it to be that of a great importance.
Right.
To be vigilant, to know that this is what is happening.
That's why you need to stay awake.
Yeah.
No attack is by chance.
Amen.
And I think that's why he says, be sober. Don't get so drunk in life. Don't get so intoxicated with life that you miss that the enemy is like a roaring lion looking for people that's drunk off of life. So when you're intoxicated, you can't hear roars. You can't hear roars. You don't see it coming. You don't see the attack. It just comes. You say, how did I get here? Because you was drunk.
Amen.
How did I didn't see this? Because you wasn't sober. You got you got high off your own supply. I'm sorry. It's little. You had your hand up? Yes. Drunk off emotion. The biggest thing the enemy wants, and that's why we call it about temptation. And I say constantly, temptation is he would never come at it real hot. Never, because then you can pick that up. You know temper? You know what temper is? When you temper something? Temper is you match the temperature of the environment so that it can slowly settle in.
Slowly.
Temptation is not something that comes in hot. It comes in, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I get your number? Not today? All right.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? I can call you? No, not today? All right. What's up? Hey, come on, people. You don't stop. Just take a little puff. Not too much. Let's take one drink. Not too much. Start out right here. Not too much. Let's do a little. Because you're going to reject if it comes out too obnoxious. It was right in your face. You're like, oh my God. No addiction start like that. It always start a little bit. Take a little bit of this. Until you get so drunk in life, the next thing you know, you are laid up deep in emotion, wondering like, how did I get here? Yeah. Anybody ever woke up and say, what? How did I get here? Or how about being so drunk that the 2 years in your life, you have no idea, you've been blacked out of it, and you were like,
come on,
what happened? Come on, like, can anybody talk?
You know, I was saying something to my sister today about anesthesia. What I don't like about it is, whenever it has been given to you, you don't know what is happening.
Anesthesia.
So,
Yeah.
You don't know what is taking place.
Right.
So that's the only thing I don't like about it.
Right. The only thing is that if I trust the surgeon who's giving it to me, but who's giving you the anesthesia and what surgery they're performing.
Amen. But you can ask questions.
But when you are under anesthesia, You wake up after the surgery.
Yes. Yeah.
And life, come on, you're preaching a message. Life can give you doses of anesthesia. You don't, and next thing you know, your heart is taken out.
Yes.
Joy, somebody just amputated your joy.
Yes.
Amputated your love. And you wonder, I can't love anybody the same way. I know why.
That is so true.
And you got to go back or ask God to give you something new.
Change me.
Right? That this person has turned my heart into stone. God, I need you to transform me. Give me back the heart before this. Forgetting was those things were behind. Because the damage was done by that. Okay, God, I can't get that back. Right? And that's the thing I love God, because he cleansed some of our memories too. The blood is not taking care of just the moment, it's taking care of the memories. Because most of our memories are stained. And I can't trust going forward because of the memories I had in backwards. So God has to cleanse that so that I can move forward. Or I will take that with me and hold you accountable for something you had nothing to do with. Don't hit me. I didn't hit you. That was not me. But in your mind, that anyone that get close to you, you are seeing that old person face. You put that face on me. I had nothing to do with that, sweetie. Over and over. Over and over. You wreck relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship, and you blame that person, and that person, if they're not wise, they will say, it's you, and never take stock. It's me. I'm damaged. I'm it. My expectations in my old relationship is messing up this good thing. And we all have these traces where when we go into something, we got to ask ourselves, if we're not sober, we will destroy good things. Not because the thing is bad, but because what we had was terrible. Bad traits. And so that's what we ask God. Say, God, take this heart out of me. I'm going to transform this stony heart and give you a heart that can love again. And all of us, come on, all of us has places where people damaged, and we say, Lord, I know I can't carry this around. I know I'm cold, and I know there's a wall up. I know there's a wall up. Right? I know there's a wall up because I'm not trying to let anybody in again to hurt me like that person did. Takes a level of maturity. Absolutely does. Takes time. Takes time. All right? All right. So you're asking God to make sure that you stay sober. All right. Okay. Let's look at 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel 17. All right, and Daniel 10:13. Okay, because part of the next question is, man, why these attacks last so long? 1 Samuel 17. All right, it's just small. You can just 1 Samuel 17 and Daniel 10:13. Okay, what I'm talking about is attacks has time limits. They have time limits. And so for the 1 Samuel 17, remember that Goliath defied the armies for 40 days until David came. Right? Daniel 10:13, remember the prince of darkness hindered Daniel's prayers for 21 days. So that's the great thing. Attacks have time limits.
Amen.
can't go beyond. There's a limit to it. Job, there's a limit to it. There's so much he can do.
So much you can just be.
There's so much he understands you can take.
Yay, Jesus.
Glory.
Before he sends your deliverer.
Yes.
Either he sends somebody for you or he makes you that person. Either he sends you a Moses or he makes you the Moses.
Yes.
Now, we know nobody wants to be in slavery 400 plus years. But even if you say, now I'm not saying 400 plus years, but what I'm saying is it still had a time limit.
Yes. Absolutely. He has a time in everything.
Huh? And normally he knows how long.
Yes.
And so the question is, the prayer is, I don't know how long, Lord. You could drop it in and let me know, but if you don't, I know that it won't last long. So I'm going to stand right here.
Yeah. Glory. Yes, Lord.
Because most of our prayers becomes complaints. How long are you going to do this? Right?
You see what we're going through.
Right.
Yes.
And in that, we take our eyes off building ourselves and build our problem. Right? Because now we just make whatever we're going through stronger than us. Bigger than God. You see how we subtly can play these mental games with ourselves to make our obstacles bigger than they are and make God smaller, when I'm going to not look at my obstacle. It's Goliath size, but I can beat it.
Amen.
I have everything in me to beat it. Not by myself, but if I serve God, I'm going to beat you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have the tool.
Jesus.
You will not see me lose.
Come on. Come on.
That's the mind frame.
Yeah.
You won't see me lose, and I'm going to make sure I win.
Yes.
That's the mind frame. When you're in battle, I ain't losing today.
Yep.
Yeah, this going to, that's all right. It's hard. I'm gonna take the blows. I'm gonna take the shots. But trust me, when this is all over, when this is all the enemies I see today, I won't see them no more.
No more.
Get your best hit in. Now is your best chance. Right? That's what we need. Okay? That's important. All right. 2 Samuel 11. Yes, Lord, no worry. Okay. 2 Samuel 11. That's where you see here. Okay, you could read that for me. 2 Samuel 11. Second Samuel 11. Verse 1. Anybody?
And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings goes forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him.
That's all you need. When the kings were supposed to be at battle, David was home. And so what I want you to know, be sober, is because you're always on the battlefield.
Yes.
There's no days off for you. Everywhere is a battlefield. There is no relaxing. Your home is a battlefield. Your job is a battlefield. Your mind is always on. There's no place off limits. None. A lot of times the attack happens when we relax. When we relax. Where that, the strategy for war, armies was to, they didn't want to attack in the night because they always thought that wasn't the proper way to do it. So they, back in the day, they'll let the sun come up, which is weird. Like you see all these old movies, like the one army is over there and the other's over here, and they wait till the sun come up because that was the way to fight with pride. I'm going to take you on in the day. Enemy don't work that way. And because he don't work that way, you can't either. Right. You're always on the battlefield. Okay? David was distracted. He was supposed to be on the battlefield. This is the time King's supposed to be on the battlefield. David was chilling at home, watching the movie of Bathsheba, taking a shower. And that one watching the movie led to his demise. It led to his demise. And little bit by little, by little, by little, it got worse and worse and worse. Innocent. I'm just not on the battlefield. Okay? So you always remember that you are on the battlefield. Okay, let's keep moving. Joshua 10. Joshua 10, verses 12 to 14. You can read that at home. 12 to 13, but you can read it. I'm mentioning this. This is where Joshua is fighting and God stops the sun. He holds up the sun to give Joshua more time. Right? I'm not going to lose. And God was going to give me more time to win.
Yes. Amen.
That's the approach. If this battle takes longer, I know God will give me the time. He stops it so that Joshua guarantees a win. To give him more time. That's the mindset that I'm gonna win so much. Not only on the win, but I want to win back the time too. Because some of the battles too is wasted time. Man, I wasted a lot of time. All right. Sometimes you lose that and then you lose the time. Like, Lord. Okay. I'm not losing this. That's the mindset. Okay. All right. I'm finishing up. I'm just throwing things out here. I gave you the time limit for the battles. That it comes with a time limit, and God will give you more time to win. All right. So God will give you more time. God to win. Everywhere is a battlefield. Make sure you are sober. Okay. Don't get too intoxicated that you are not focused. All right. Now, healing and help. Healing and help. Because at the end of the day, some of us we do get touched by it. Right? And one thing the Bible shows us that God sends help in many different ways. All right. So you look at Luke 17:14. Luke 17:14. The way God healed happens in different ways. And then you can read the Gospels. You can read the Gospels of how Jesus touched people. He spoke to some was by word, some was by touch. Right? This is, of course, was the leopards. And as he sent them on their way, they walked out their healing. Okay? So some healings comes by your walking. The journey.
Yes.
Point that you will know in your notes, healing is a journey. Healing is a journey. And in any journey, there are points of like rest stops where you be like, man, I made it through a week. Man, it's 2 weeks. Man, that used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me that much.
Amen. Amen.
Anybody ever been? Where you are moving towards something and you be like, man, that don't bother me as much as it used to. You hear something like, I used to snap. Right? And like, I think you have to chronicle all your steps of development. So you can applaud yourself and say, man, you know what? That used to bother me. I'm not bothered by that anymore.
Yep.
And so you can give yourself a cookie and some ice cream and be like, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Right? So healing is a journey. And you can't rush the process. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. It's a journey. Every single day when you are healing, every single day is something new. Right? Every single day. Physical or emotional. And you can't allow yourself you can't beat yourself up too much while you're healing. Because I know sometimes you want to be healed quicker.
Sometimes you may if you feel like you regress.
Yes. But look at the victory in that. You know you regressed.
Absolutely. You identify.
You identified you backed up. I like once you can at least see that, you can identify with the steps backwards because you know what you did. The people you can't help is that they don't know where they are. You know, you don't know where you are. You don't know how far along in your recovery. You have no idea. So how are you? I don't know. Pastor, I don't know. But I know, but how are you? I was better, but I took a step back. Okay, so we have a starting point. There's some points of reference that we can say, okay, so here he was here, he was here. But you can't speed it up. Right? And Christians and people that have faith, sometimes we want to divine deviation and oil it and Shumba is better. We prayed for me on Sunday and I went home to it. Yes? Okay. Pastor, it didn't change. Really? Because it takes work. You can't just trust the oil. Faith without works. I was expecting, because then now you say the prayer, the oil don't work. It work.
It works, but you have to have faith.
Are you working?
You're working it.
Are you working it? Are all the parties involved working it? Because it don't work if one person is working it. Because I don't have enough power for you.
Yes.
Huh?
That's a good teaching. I think I know for me as I've gotten older, it's one of the things I find comfort in.
Mhm.
That I try to share with as many people as I go along the way. The only person you can control in any equation is you.
Mm-hmm.
You can either control how you act or how you respond.
That's it.
And stop trying to put, as you say, certain expectations on the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to get them to conform to your will,
Can't.
to your way,
Right.
the way you do things per se.
Mhm.
Because, as one person said, like, you're now trading spaces with Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And any person that you oppress over time,
Mhm.
eventually he or she will rebel.
And it becomes not a decision, but manipulation. Where now you are manipulating actions instead of it happens generically from a good place. Now, what you do, you are basically a witchcraft worker because you are trying to get somebody to do something they don't want to do, and that's
Right back to where you started.
right where you started. Or you become a slave. right? You become a slave, and you're working, you're building things, right? But it's through by a whip. It's through a beating. It does. Somebody gonna get frustrated. The slave or the slave master. Because the slave master is expecting, and he whipping, and sooner or later the slave gonna be like, you can beat me as much as you want. This is a dead horse. And the slave master is gonna get another slave. Or the slave master, the slaves revolt. Or become a coup. We're taking over. You know what I mean? So in these relationships, you can't. It's impossible to do that. They have to work the faith too. Both parties have to work this. It's going to get better. Both parties, and then you have to realize where both are in their level of maturity, right? Because some might be on a 10 and some might be on a 5. And if you got to work, the 10 got to have patience. And then the 5 got to want to work. Now, the key is don't say who's the 10 and who's the 5. Because then that's the superiority. Right? And if you're going to be wise, you don't need to let anybody know you're the 10. Right? Because what you're doing ultimately, you're trying to get them up. Right? Without letting them know you're getting them up. It can come off that way. There's a whole bunch of ways you can skin a cat. How you want to skin him. That's the thing. We have to learn to get what we need or want without demand. And also, we have to change ways about us. I think that's what I was saying on Sunday with Jonah. It's not a matter of just doing God's will, how much you want to change over there. God sometimes is trying to change you too. Jonah was, I see the hate I don't like over there, but God was showing him, you have that same hate. That's what he's trying to show him. Every assignment, while you're trying to bring life to somebody, God is trying to kill something in you. And every assignment where God is sending me to, don't think that it's all about them over there. It's about you. There's something in my assignment God is teaching me about me. But we can't have that self-righteousness where I'm just going to go help over them. No. God is trying to teach you something about you too. Right? And that's what, when we change our approach. Can I get that? May I have that, please, ma'am? No?
Pastor, as you were mentioning earlier about the earlier the enemy can come in and rise. This is what it does, and sometimes we don't take note of it. Mm-hmm. And as I said, that I remember growing up as a child, there were some things I used to do, and being an adult now, when I try to think, why did I do that? I have no clue why I did it. So it tells me that from a tender age, it played upon my mind.
Absolutely.
Now, Joshua is going through a crisis. He's at school, where, and he didn't come to America like this, looking over things, he's trying to teach a chart. So I know it is the plan of the enemy. To me, is playing upon his mind. So just to let it know that I'm asking for prayer for him.
I remember. And for him, as much as he may not say it, it's still displacement, being shocked from one system into another. And not everybody assimilates the same way. He, as much as he could be here forever, there's still people that's been here in America for 30 years that still feel out of place.
Yes, of course.
Right? And they may not act it out because you don't see it. He might be acting out his displacement, right? And we think, oh, that must be some kind of rebellious. No, it can be a matter of, man, I'm not used to this environment. It's going to take me some time to assimilate. And they got to understand that. Because if you came here from wherever you came from, you'll be shocked too.
Yes.
You may not You may not kick and scream, but you probably do in your mind.
One of my sons.
I mean, how many of your first nights? How many of your first nights here? Every night, that's. How about the month that you came in? The month after you came here, off the plane. How was it? How was that? How was that assimilation? Difficult. Want to go back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
2 years later, you're probably saying the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no.
So when you know where you come from,
Let me tell you something too. Let's not even look. Can we take a spiritual? Our bodies yearn to be home.
Yes.
Paul said, I'm only here for your benefit. Because if I had my choice, I would rather be home.
Me too.
Your soul is yearning to be home. That's why there's no rest in your body. So imagine him at 8.
And they want to call the ambulance for him.
Because again, that's the quick solution. That's the easy solution, right? That now they only can make it worse when you medicate. And now it makes it worse. But to me, anyone comes from any particular place where they have used to any particular structure, environment, and they come to a completely different system, it's going to take a while to assimilate and adjust. When you get married, there's assimilation that goes on too. Living in the house, and it could take a long time.
two different things.
Yes.
I'm talking natural stuff. And our displacement of assimilation, we say we mature about it, but then somebody on the outside looking at it and how we revolt, and they be like, what's wrong with you? I need to call the ambulance. I mean, can we talk for real? Like, as somebody that's looking at how you assimilate into relationship, they're like, my God, what's going on? I'm not used to it. They leave the garbage here. They have I'm so used to the house was clean. And now they don't wash the pot. She don't cook everything I was used to. What? She use her own soap.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
The soap is not the same soap, and I was expecting like, good God.
I mean, from work, the food, no food, don't cook.
So now imagine him
Yes.
doing the same thing. And it's always he don't do that at home, outside the environment, it's at school.
I had
Yeah,
my
yes,
fair
he
share.
does do this.
Remember my fair share?
I was there.
Okay, thank you.
I lived through it.
Okay, thank you.
Had no problems on my end. He was perfect with me.
What, 5 o'clock in the morning I had to call you?
Perfect with me. Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning.
I have all those stories
Oh, yeah.
talking to the counselor. Same thing. Like the counselor was calling me. Because he couldn't find answers. And I'm like, sir, here's the deal.
Yes.
There is an assimilation that has to go on. Because he was like, oh, I heard that he's no problem with you, right? But at school, there's a problem. And I had to go to the school and tell the teacher and the counselors the same thing. When they called me and I was to go to school and come up there, and they were like, we need to see you. And then I get in there and I'm like, sir, assimilation is not easy. You was born here. Babies, when they come out the room, we crying
Yes.
because we need to assimilate to this environment, and we don't know how to breathe yet. So imagine, and all those things work. I'm used to in here. I come out, and now I have to learn to breathe on my own. And some babies go into shock because they want to go back to what was home is. But you can't go back. So it's going to take you time to assimilate, to adjust. And the same way kids and babies, that's what life is. It's all about assimilating and adjusting and us having patience while they go through these fits. That's why the babies cry. And if they don't cry, they're going to act out different ways because they're trying to get used to an environment. We all do it. Any environment. College was a shock the first time too. You wanted to come home. I wanted to come home. I'm on my own. And your mom had to say, you better stay there till you finish. And then your belly is hungry, you know. And you had to assimilate to an environment because any little thing that goes on, you wanted to go back home.
America is not easy to adjust. It's very hard.
Yes.
That's why a lot of people don't want to come.
Everybody. Some people commit suicide.
Yep.
Some people commit suicide. There's multiple stories of people that come in here, they couldn't get along. This is the only place they had anybody to adjust to, and then next thing you know, they're jumping off the bridge.
But you know, Pastor, if we, as you talk about expectation, if we could just tell ourselves that life is a transition, different seasons.
Right.
You transition from one place to the
Right.
other. And if we just tell ourselves that and live in that expectation,
Right.
then it's going to be so hard on us.
We know that, but I think sometimes it's trying to explain that to the people in the environment that may control the space, like teachers or whoever controls the environment. They don't have patience enough to say, I'm learning.
Okay.
That's a system.
Okay.
The system.
Because they in their mind, they're saying, once you fit this, you have to fit this cog. And that's not how it works. We eventually, we become that. Right? We become that. Bible the same way. When Israel were in Babylon, they wanted to leave. And it was God that said, y'all gonna be here for a while. Make yourself comfortable. Build a house. Plant a garden. Get married. Y'all gonna be in there because they by the rivers of Babylon. Well, we remember Zion. We were sitting there at the river and they're saying sing a song and you're saying sing? How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? He want to sing, but this ain't home yet. So what do? Change his song? That's what they want to do. They want to feed him their own song. No, he has his own song. And he going to sing it when he's ready.
One of my son, when he come here, he say, "I want to go home back. I don't know what is."
That's right.
And he was into a high spot.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I want to go home."
Mm-hmm.
You have to stand up on the foot to make him say,
Mhm.
"No, no want you with me," like, you know?
Yeah.
I only have me around.
Mhm.
So I don't have nobody else around, only me alone. So him say, "I want to go home," you have to stand up
Mm-hmm.
until him get used to it.
Everybody come here.
Everybody, wait till y'all grow up. Wait till y'all go back and be living on your own. I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, y'all got it good right now. Wait till y'all on their own when BILL call you. Who's Bill, Daddy? Who's Bill? Who's Bill, Daddy? Bill calling me. Bill calling you? I wonder why. Yeah, Bill and Billette. When Bill and Billette start calling you, because you didn't have to talk to Bill. Who mommy on the phone with? Bill. Yeah, mommy always talking to Bill. Yeah, y'all gonna learn. Bill gonna start calling y'all. You gonna be hiding from Bill. Not home, Bill. Turn off the light. Bill is here. Yeah, knocking at the door. Shh. Who's that? That's Bill. All right, let's go home. They got yeah, until Bill. Yeah, when Bill comes. Yeah, and either you turn off the light or Bill turn it off himself.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
All right.
Kind of this next play.
All right, let's go home. It's life, man. I see it all the time. That's I mean, we spend most of my years doing after school, and then I was that in-between person going to schools and talking to from the teacher. I was that in-between person talking to the teacher and the parent, because most of the times my job was because where we work, most of the parents wouldn't have the time to go to the school, so I would go to the PTA meetings. So I was go to the PTA meetings, talk to the teacher, find out about the grades, and it was more like I was the representative for the parents. And then that's what I do. Like, you got to understand, a lot of these parents are from other countries too. And so they're not used to this system, so you have to understand, like, give them time to the kids to adjust because it's new for them as well. They're shocked. They're shocked. They're shocked into the system. And so some of this rebellious behavior is not directed toward them, it's directed towards, oh my God, I'm not fitting in.
Yeah, because he said to me last week,
Mhm.
why love in the yard space to play to run around at Jamaica.
Yeah.
He said it to me.
Yeah,
And he constantly said he won't go back and one back in old school.
yeah, that's what it is.
It is true. Like, I always tell people, life is relative. In his eyes, home is a mansion. And you took him from a mansion to like Mother James is alluding to this.
So like articulate.
I tell people it was the funniest thing. Like when I finally got straight and I went home, the running joke was, I tell everybody like if I stood up when I first touched down, I looked like Shaquille O'Neal in my neighborhood. I was like the biggest thing in my neighborhood. And if I stretched my legs 6 good times, I went from the front door to the back door of the entire house.
Wow.
And I tell people, but if you heard me at his age correspond to like the kids in school, they're like, what was life back in Trinidad? I was like, man, we had this huge yard and we had this huge house.
Yeah.
If I tell you the house, from this wall to that wall was the entire house.
But it seemed big.
But at his age,
Yes.
it was huge.
Yes. And the yard space, your land that you could run around.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Yes.
And that's what it is. In fairness to him, like you said, you come in from grade school, government school, whatever. You drop your bag, or on your way, you pitch marble on the way. You go run the track on the way. You go down by the pond or the river on the way. Like just the walk. You and I were having that discussion. The walk from just school to home was like an adventure. America, they tell you all kind of crazy stuff. Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to this. Don't look at this. Come straight.
Right.
You take 2 steps on the street and you like.
Yep.
You thinking somebody gonna snatch you and run away with you. So
And then they cut out recess and the time to run around. And so he has this ball of energy. And what he gonna do? What he gonna use it?
and for you know, the sidewalk, Betsy had all of this. In his expectation, relativity, when he looks at the vastness of Jamaica, the yard back there can be
Y'all don't want to go home? I just sitting there, just sitting down.
relative.
Yeah. Come on, if we going home. I'm just sitting there talking. No, but that's exactly what it is. Displacement for all of us, whether you're from this country or not. If you're spiritual, you're gonna feel displaced. We all go through displacement of being fit in where we don't believe we belong. This is not where I'm supposed to be.
It's like Egypt. You deliver from bondage, you get displaced,
Right.
and you trying to
Get back.
figure out a way
To get back,
get back
because
to
this is not what I'm used to.
like, it was so much better, you know?
You was getting beaten, but that's what you're used to.
Yeah, it's relative.
All right. Let's get home. Listen to some of these accents. The accents are still the same. Right? You still have that, huh?
Never change.
Yeah, because that's who you are.
That's who I'm proud of my country. I'm very proud of it.
All right, let's pray.